So Facebook people, on my page, welcome to Comic Spot, where this Army veteran is vetting veterans of comedy. We have a 4-year veteran of comedy in Kentucky here with us today. Don't talk yet, Catherine Perkins. I have to say your intro. Comics, you have to tell them, don't talk yet. So, see, she's funny already. She's a mime. She thinks outside the box, though. Catherine Perkins is here, and here's the little intro she just gave me. It says she started in 2016. That's 4 years ago, for those of you that are bad at math like me. And she's been performing at John Harvard's Brewery in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She's a 3-time winner of a local contest and recently did a guest spot on March Madness in May. That's confusing. March Madness in May, i.e. she's a nobody. And here she is to tell us all about her very colorful, interesting past and present, and hopefully a little bit of enlightenment and inspiration for the future. Catherine Perkins. Hi, Catherine. Yay.
Oh,
give it up for Catherine.
Like I should be on a stage just bowing.
Welcome to Comic Spot. Yeah.
Hello, Linda Marcus Smith, one of my new friends.
We are becoming friends. We have a lot in common. I have been to Kentucky before.
Well, that's great. Now I'm glad you got out.
Yeah. So is that where KY jelly comes from?
Probably. I understand a lot of boys start with chickens, and you need some jelly for that.
So, Catherine, take me to your childhood when you were first funny, when a teacher or a principal or classmates thought you were funny or you got in trouble. How did you go from being born to realizing you were funny? How'd that happen?
Oh, that took a long time. I had a lot of siblings, and I was the youngest in a family of 4, so not a lot, but it was a military family. So I was less funny as I was more obedient.
Exactly. So your father was in the military, or you both?
My father was Navy.
Navy?
Yeah, commanding officer.
Wow.
Until right around the Bay of Pigs, I think 63. We were living in Key West, and if I was funny, I didn't know it. So yeah. I think I knew I was funny as an adult. I worked in the thoroughbred industry. I worked with horses. I worked with show horses, and you learn at a very early age then how to make silk out of sow's ears, I guess.
Wow.
how to take good situations into bad. And I don't know how old you are, Linda. I'm 64. I'll be 65 next month.
I'm 5 years older than you.
I think a lot of, what happened in my youth gave me a sense of humor. It didn't necessarily make me a comedian, but it allowed me to laugh at things. And it was either that or walk around being mad at everybody. And back then you couldn't sue anybody. So
no, we didn't know. We didn't know what child abuse was. We didn't know.
No, that was the way of life. You just got the shit knocked out of you if you were bad.
Dropped me on my head on purpose. That was Tuesday.
And if you were lucky, you forgot that it was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday too, right?
Yeah, and that underwear with the days of the week was the most confusing thing in my childhood. What day is it? It's like, why do we have this?
I didn't have that.
I had it once in my life. My parents couldn't afford it. It was expensive to buy it. It was like hip stuff. So
at least it wasn't every day of the month. That would have been really bad. Right?
Can you imagine?
Having to keep track of 30 pair of underwear, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the way the washers and dryers eat them up, that would never work. Never.
Oh, that's funny.
You'd be calling the Maytag repairman a lot more often. Wait, the machine works great. It actually works too well. Give me back 24, 27, and 29.
Yeah.
Keep that guy in business. He needs the work. Young people don't know what I'm talking about, but the Maytag ads were all based around the fact that you didn't need a repairman, but you would have if you would have had 30 days of underwear or 31 some of the time.
Well, and actually, I think some of the humor in having the repairmen that came to people's houses, like the milkman, the repairman, the pool man, was that the mothers really, for Maytag, you didn't need the repairman, but you needed the repairman.
Yeah.
You needed someone to talk to, someone to come to the house.
Yeah. I think
Tell
it's
you, lady, your machine's just fine.
just need to
Uh,
plug it in and then it will work.
yeah.
I think it's
Just
funny
don't plug
that
it in the bathtub, right?
yeah, don't do that. I think it's funny that, you know, how you can get food delivered. Schwann's delivers food. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, that one. I thought they were like an ice cream,
No,
weren't they? They
they're
have like
like,
a Swan, the yellow trucks with Schwans. Yeah, I've seen them around here.
so like they have major meals that you can get too. I don't know if they started with ice cream or what, but like you can get really good full course meals from them. But the Yiddish word Schwans is the male part, the male body part.
Oh, is it
And
really?
I think
I
there's
thought
a
that
joke.
was schlong. I thought that was a schlong, not a schlong.
Well, a schwanz is also,
I'll be gosh darn.
there's a
Well, no
joke
wonder
for
they're delivering meals to women.
exactly. You're like, I'm no idiot. I'm only half Jewish and I got that figured out.
Gosh darn, I didn't know I was going to be so enlightened today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
So let's go back a little bit. You went through school. You were a military child in a military family. They say a military brat, but I
Yeah.
don't. So where all in the world have you lived?
Uh, well, we live primarily up and down at the East Coast. I was born in California,
What part?
Fort Ord, outside of Monterey,
Yep.
and I believe my mother moved me when I was 6 weeks old
Whoa.
to Newport, Rhode Island, and then we were mostly down the East Coast from then.
Wow.
So I lived in Falls Church, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, and Key West, Florida as well. And then my father
Wonderful.
retired when we were in Key West, and we moved to Washington, D.C.
Are your parents still alive?
No, they're both dead. My mother died 2 years ago today.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry to bring it up. Not that
It's
you
all
were
right.
thinking about it, but
It's a little
happy
hard.
anniversary. She went out with a bang.
Yeah, Independence Day. She finally she'd been very dependent for a while, and uh, it was something that I prayed for a lot back then, and every day since I've been thankful. Even though I miss her, I wouldn't. I couldn't imagine having a loved one in a nursing home during this and
Thank
not
you.
being able to see him. I just
It's heartbreaking. I've seen people social distancing outside of nursing homes. It breaks my heart.
I couldn't do it.
Mm-mm.
I'd go in and I'd take her out and bring her home.
Yep.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
I wouldn't either. I would not either. I don't care how mean somebody was to me. If I had a relative in a nursing home, they'd be in my house.
Yeah, well, if I love them. Now I do kind of care how mean they would be to me.
Well,
If I
yeah.
had a loved one and they'd been mean to me and I still loved them, then I couldn't leave them. But if my father had been beating me and doing weird shit to me my whole life, I might not have worried too much.
I get what you're saying. I just yeah. Hopefully that if they're past all that when they're older in a nursing home and they'd be appreciative now, but we shall see. Not everybody grows up out of it.
Yeah, you hope they do.
Yeah. So after you went through high school, you started a career
Actually, I
grooming.
went 1 year of college. I spent 6 months doing a riding school, riding, RID, not writing, an equestrian school in England.
Wow.
I went there. I was supposed to be there 6 months, and I ended up staying about 4 because of what was going on, energy crisis worldwide, and cost. So I traveled for about a month, and then came home. Went to college for 1 year in Ohio, Lake Erie College for Women. And I realized, one, that my parents said they couldn't afford my college education. And the other thing was that I wanted to work with horses. And I could tell that that was something I was going to have to start from the bottom and work my way up. And I'd rather do it when I was 18 as opposed to 22 going and starting it from the bottom and working my way up.
And how
So
was your career in working with horses?
it started off where I worked on farms, just as a groom, and worked my way up to being an exercise rider. I ended up relocating from Northern Virginia to, I went to South Carolina to a training center in Aiken, and picked up jobs with the New York trainers, and went to Belmont Park. And I did that for about 10 years, where I would,
What park?
Belmont Park.
No way. You were
Yeah.
at Belmont Park?
I went there every year for about 9 years.
Were you
And
ever with some horses that were in the Triple Crown?
I was around some really good horses, and I galloped one that was very good, but I was around quite a few. I think I met Pleasant Colony. I worked for the trainer that trained him for a very short period of time. But yeah, I saw a lot of nice horses. I may not remember them all, since that's a long time ago.
So what's the best thing that you took away from working with horses and horse trainers? If you had to narrow it down to one thing.
One thing.
Yeah, one thing.
To get over it. Get over myself. That's the one thing you learn. If someone says something smart to you, you either say something smart back, or you keep on going. It's you have to be tough and flexible.
In the horse training industry, you have to be tough.
Oh yeah. And as an employee, on the boots, your feet on the ground. And this is also back in a day where there was no sexual harassment.
We didn't have Gloria Allred.
No, that was the way it is. You learned how to take it, or you moved on and went somewhere else and hoped that they didn't dish it out if you couldn't take it.
Thank you. Exactly.
And for me, it's something that made me, I believe that we are what our life has given us. That's what shapes us with every day. And we change. We're always changing.
Absolutely.
According to our experiences. And I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be able to laugh about things and still be happy, even though, sometimes life sucks, if I hadn't been exposed to the things I was exposed to.
Yes. And let's talk about why you left grooming and riding horses.
I can't ride anymore because of my head injury. I fell on my head in 2000. 2 weeks later, I had a seizure, and
wow.
Both times were I was on a horse. So one time I fell off, and the other time I don't have a clue what happened. And I still rode after that, but then something happened I fractured my pelvis because I shouldn't have been riding, and that backed me up on my riding. And then I finally just quit and said, I guess I should.
So you got off the horse and said, let me go to a comedy club. Is that what happened?
That's just what I did. I actually still hold my thoroughbred owners and trainers license. I had started a business called Perkins Mackey Stable. I hope you got those initials, PMS. I advertised that I was the only bitch in the business that didn't mind saying I was a bitch, right? I still own that business in partnerships with my husband, and he's a control freak, so he now has complete control of everything except for my mind, uh, or my comedy.
Did you give him 51% or 100?
We're 50-50,
Oh,
but
good. But
he
he
has
still
100.
has control.
He has 100% of does 100% of the work, and I just like, I can't do it. Sorry, crippled, broken head.
He's like the ventriloquist and you're the dummy.
Yeah, I'm the dummy. That's right.
So what made you do comedy, Catherine?
I saw it as I was telling you earlier. I take writing classes for poetry primarily at a local learning center. It's called the Carnegie Center for Literacy and Learning. And a friend of mine, now a friend, they offered a comedy writing class. And I said, well, I should take this. And I hadn't been out of my house for maybe 6 or 7 months, not far. I just got so afraid from the second head injury. And then I shattered my ankle. That was like 2013, 2014. And in 2014, I shattered my ankle at the end. And it took half of 2015 for me to get so I could even leave the house and walk. It was so bad.
Wow.
And I just was afraid to leave the house. So I started taking this comedy writing class. And the teacher, his name is Josh Filipowski. He's now based in Cambridge. He has a site called Like to Laugh, where he has comics who can put their profiles up on there. And so far, I haven't got booked for shit. I'm sorry for anything. Daytime show. But he has booked me actually, and he's the one who put me on at John Harvard Square a few years ago when I went up there. But he's the one who got me involved through the writing. And he said, well, you're so funny. Let's go. And I hadn't been to a bar in 30 years.
Wow.
When I moved to Kentucky in 1984, and after I really started my business, before it was a partnership, you're looking at 12 to 18-hour days when you consider billing and the work, because I did all my own work. You don't go out. And then try and go out at 61 with a head injury to bars with, forget it. It just was, I needed a babysitter. And
just so you know, in 1996, I was hit by a drunk driver, and it took my daughter and me 16 years to rehabilitate. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And by the way, young people, if you're out there, every baby boomer has a brain injury. Our parents smacked us upside the wall, upside the head, you name it. I mean, go get a stick off a tree. Oh, heck, they didn't need to do that. There was stuff in the house to use. So if you're wondering why we messed the world up, we did pretty good with brain injuries. It took all of us together to have one collective working brain. Are you kidding me?
That's for sure. Yeah.
So tell me, how did it go the very first time with a brain injury when you went on stage?
Well, because I've done poetry for so long, one of my favorite formats of poetry is something called a limerick, which is a 5-line poem. And I found I could memorize them. I can't memorize much. And I couldn't memorize them for long. But I did, I went up and I did some limericks, and I was scared to death. And the worst thing was the microphone. I'd never looked, I mean, I've done poetry before, but it was just, for some reason, looking at that microphone after not doing anything for 2 or 3 years, and I go up and my eyes go cross-eyed on that microphone, and it looked like a fly's eye, one of those National Geographic magnified, on the head of a penis. And I just wanted to smack it. I was up there, and my brain, because I was, concussed, my brain wasn't right. I'm like, just, oh my God, this microphone is gonna, look what it looks like. I can't talk in that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I try to keep the interviews to 10 minutes, and since I signed on, it's been 32 minutes. And T-Mobile and Sprint got together and they're dipping in my pocketbook. But I want you back on to talk more. This is way too short.
Anytime. Just message me and we'll go from there.
Sometime I want you on to talk a little bit more about the beginning of you going on stage, and if you'd like to do 5 minutes of limericks or comedy, or use your notes. I don't care.
We just did 20 minutes of comedy.
We are funny. Us baby boomers, you know. We got stories, you guys. We got history.
For sure.
Listen to us when we talk.
I've enjoyed your interviews as well.
Thank you, my dear. Appreciate that. So we'll get back. I'll get right to you to book another time for you to come on for more in the next month. So this is July. So I'll book you in August to come back on, Catherine.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep it short, but every month they cut.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Love you lots.
Thank you.
Everybody's